I've only seen this happen once in my many years ballroom dancing, but I do think the story's interesting, friends, so I'm going to share this one today. I was at the United States Professional International Standard U.S. National Championships, okay? So I'm not going to share the year of this event because I'm sure you could look it up online, and I don't want to out any individuals. I just want to share the story, okay? So like any other competition, there are all sorts of styles and age categories and such there. It's not just the pro standard dancers, okay? And this year there were many of the top U.S. youth formation teams competing there, as there was every year. Now, I don't usually really track that category very carefully. However, that year, one of my friends was coaching one of these youth formation teams. And so I sat in the ballroom with them just to watch the event, support them, support the teams. And while these teams were all going on the floor, she looks at me and she's like, "Do you see that kid out there?" And this was not on her team. This was on one of the other teams. She's like, "There is no way he is still qualified in the youth category because I have seen him compete at this same comp on the youth team year after year after year after year." And it was a very good team. And she told me later on, like there were some other coaches of other teams that had noticed this kid out there too. And to my knowledge, she did not complain. However, someone there did. And it's not in terms of a complaint, but they brought up their concerns to the organizers, okay? And the crazy thing is, guys, even if this person is going to lie about their actual age, these same teams are at the same comps every year. The comp's going to have records of who competed in teams in previous years. So say if this particular kid has been on this team 6 years in a row, well, there's no way he can continue to qualify, right? And why do we have these age restrictions? Well, I've shared with you, especially kids, okay? They intellectually mature in dog years, okay? So, if you're looking at a 7-year age difference, say between, someone that's, 27 and 7 years older, minuscule difference. However, for children, it is not fair to put like some 24-year-old, on the floor against 17-year-olds. Just think about, set aside the physical and mental maturity issues. Think about the mathematics of it. You cannot fairly put someone on the floor who's been dancing like 14 years up against other kids who've been dancing 7 years. It's so unfair in many ways, okay? And in a nutshell, as you can imagine, things did hit the fan, guys. And I don't think, to my recollection, they didn't announce it over the loudspeakers with the MC, but they did definitely disqualify that whole team. And guys, first of all, shame on the coaches. Like, you cannot tell me that they didn't know this person's age. They've probably been coaching the team 10 years. Now, I don't know that for a fact, but even if they were new coaches, you would be prepped by the previous coach on each student, their ages, their strengths, their weaknesses. This is just how you pass the baton as a dance teacher. Okay. Secondly, my heart so goes out to the other team members on that team. Okay. Can you imagine working your tail off for a whole year, and the money they dumped into that, the time they dumped into that, to get DQ'd because of breaking a rule. I can't even wrap my head around it. Oh my gosh, I just felt so bad for them. And guys, to add injury to insult, I watched them compete. Their placement would not have changed if they didn't have that ringer on the team. They danced great. I mean, what a flying shame. And speaking of shame, what a shame for those coaches. Like, I would never show up to a competition again. I would be so ashamed that I was caught cheating. I can't even wrap my head around that anyone would do this. Honestly, the kid, but even more, I have to put the responsibility on the adults, because ultimately they are kids and we have a fiduciary responsibility to raise them with integrity. And this is a whole benefit of ballroom dancing and raising kids that do ballroom dance, is you learn sportsmanship, following rules. Crazy to me. I've seen people disqualified for dancing out of syllabus, even kids for costume regulation violations. I saw a couple major comps where the kids were DQ'd because they had some, I'll say, inserts in the girls' costumes and too short, which I think is totally appropriate. It's not toddlers and tiaras. It's about the dancing, not about making your 10-year-old look like a 25-year-old. Like, I have totally separate feelings about that issue. But anyway, I thought you'd find that story to be interesting. I sure did. And if you've seen kind of a weird DQ that you've ever encountered in your dance career, because you know what? I am one ballroom dancer in a world of ballroom dancers. And cumulatively, you all have much more experience than I do. But in my 40 years of dance, yeah, I've seen some weird stuff, and that's one of them. So anyway, hope you thought that story was interesting, and I look forward to seeing you tomorrow, first thing in the morning, with another ballroom dance story. Toodles, guys. Happy dancing.